Um, we're going to discuss Taiwan just a little bit more here. More fallout, I think, from Trump's Beijing summit. I don't know if this is new information or not, but this is a huge deal. I think if the title is if it's what I think it is, the title is U.S. Navy official says Taiwan arms sales are on pause over Iran war. This is huge. Now, there's two things that could be happening here. It is either going to be that Trump and Xi made a side deal, like on the side that said, "Hey, stop for now. Stop sending. You're in a bad position, right? Trump is in a bad position. For now, stop sending arms to Taiwan." And then maybe we'll consider bailing you out of this Iran situation. There's that as a possibility. The other possibility, which is just as likely in my opinion, is that we are so low on our arms after after sending like everything we possibly had to the Middle East to try to protect the one true ally, Israel. I think it's like one of those two things. But let's go ahead and watch this video. We'll see if we can maybe make a decision on that, on which one we think it is.
A diplomatic panic launched with just a few words.
Well, I'll speak to him. I speak to everybody.
U.S. President Donald Trump told journalists he would speak with the president of Taiwan, a territory Beijing wants to bring back under its control. China has made clear that Taiwan remains a top priority.
China's opposition to any official exchanges between the U.S. and China's Taiwan region and the U.S.'s arms sales to Taiwan is consistent, clear, and rock firm. China urges the U.S. to exercise extra caution in handling the Taiwan question.
President Xi Jinping reportedly issued a similar warning last week during Trump's high-profile visit to Beijing. According to Chinese state media, Xi said that Beijing could come into conflict with Washington if it mishandles the Taiwan question. After the trip, Trump suggested he could use a $14 billion arms sale as a negotiating chip with China. This would go against decades of policy preventing Washington from consulting Beijing on weapons deals with Taiwan, a top buyer of U.S. military equipment for decades.
I'm going to go back a little bit. I'm going to re-listen to that part.
A $14 billion arms sale as a negotiating chip with China. This would go against decades of...
So using a $14 billion arms sale as a negotiating chip with China. I interpret that as meaning he was hoping that I don't think it was initiated by him though. I think it was initiated by Xi to as a negotiating chip, like don't send those arms to Taiwan. If I had to guess. But I don't know what he got out of that. If this was like a negotiation tactic or like a negotiation, what did he get out of that? There were no real concessions as far as I saw from this summit. The only thing that I could think of is like backdoor, deals and stuff that maybe like potentially with like being like, okay, we will try our best to help get Iran to the negotiating table or something along those lines, maybe.
Policy preventing Washington from consulting Beijing on weapons deals with Taiwan, a top buyer of U.S. military equipment for decades. The U.S. Navy said Thursday the sale is now on pause to ensure the U.S. has sufficient munitions for Iran operations. Taiwan President Lai Ching...
Wait, sorry. They said, I think, the reason.
For decades. The U.S. Navy said Thursday the sale is now on pause to ensure the U.S. has sufficient munitions for Iran operations.
There it is. Okay, so that's the official reason. It could be both. Like I never trust these things inherently that they're like telling the truth about why. But I that was also like one of my main, one of the main reasons that I could think of. And it does make sense. We only care about Israel as an ally. Like they are the one true ally. Taiwan doesn't have like, there's not like TaiPac or something, right? Like they don't have like a huge influence. I mean, I'm sure that there is a Taiwanese, PAC, like a political action committee, but it doesn't have the same like institutional power in America. And like, there isn't like an ideological commitment to this by like religious fanatics and Christian like Christian Zionists or whatever. Like there isn't the same thing for Taiwan. Also, there's just our nation was founded on the genocide of an indigenous people, right? And in the same way, Israel's nation is founded on the genocide of an indigenous people. So like I think there's also just general ideological commitment within just the DNA of our country to that. We have never adequately rectified those wrongs, both materially and like spiritually in our country. And so, I think a huge segment of our population, even like liberals as well, like liberals and conservatives, have a alignment with that cause that is kind of like baked into. I don't want to say it's like in like. It's baked into the fabric of our institutions, and then we learn it as we grow up, and it takes a lot of unlearning to get to realize how wrong that is or whatever. So like I think all of these things are the reason like we don't have the same like ties to Taiwan, and also maybe America is kind of giving up to some extent on Taiwan. America will probably, does want to destabilize China as much as possible. So they do want to probably send as many missiles as they can or munitions as they can over there. But I think we've completely given up on this idea that we can fight in two theaters at once or anything. And so if Iran keeps going on for a long time, which I kind of expect it to, then a lot of this, Taiwan is going to have to take a backseat. So I don't know. I think that I probably trust them like 70-30, that's like the main reason. I would say that it could also be a combination, though. There could have been negotiations with Xi as well.
Taiwan President Lai Ching-te said he would be happy to talk with the U.S. leader, while affirming his administration does not want to change the status quo.
He's a status quoer.
Taiwan is keenly aware of the increasingly severe threat from China, which is why we are increasing our defense budget. The enhancement of our capabilities and military procurement from the US are vital for safeguarding Taiwan's security.
There has been nearly no direct communication.
Dude, that's so backwards. That's so backwards. The more weapons you get, the less secure you're going to be. The more American weapons, American support you get as a proxy for America, the less secure you get, because the more China sees, the more necessary China feels it is to bring you over by force. Like if you don't do that, if like I keep saying, I think that China would be relatively okay with Taiwan being completely independent if it wasn't like constantly being used as a proxy by the United States in order to try to destabilize China. Like, I don't really think they would care that much if they wanted independence in that particular circumstance. If they were truly like not aligned with the United States as being a proxy state to destabilize China. But so the more the more weapons they accept, and the more they accept their role as a pawn in the games of American empire, the less secure they get, in my personal opinion. I would say they're more secure if they would get rid of all of this American military assets that they have on their soil, personally.
Between leaders of the U.S. and Taiwan since 1979, when Washington switched diplomatic recognition from Taipei to Beijing. This isn't the first time Trump broke with precedented U.S. policy on Taiwan. During his first term, Trump raised alarm when he spoke on the phone with Taiwan's then president, Tsai Ing-wen.
Okay, well, there you go. I think that, I don't know. I've talked about Taiwan a lot the last recent days. It's just because of the Beijing summit, and there's been some fallout from it. But I think that's a pretty big deal, though, not sending arms sales to Taiwan, especially if it was based because of something behind the scenes in those negotiations with Xi. The timing is curious, right? Isn't it? Like, am I wrong? The timing is curious. It comes right after that summit that Trump decides that, we're going to put these sales to Taiwan on pause because we need them in the Middle East. Now, I do think that they do need them in the Middle East, so don't get me wrong. We went through like 60% or like 50% of our missiles in the first 6 weeks of war. So like I guarantee you they do actually need them in the Middle East, but that could also just be an excuse. So I don't know. I'm kind of 50-50 actually, I think, after talking through it with you guys. So we'll maybe see more info in the future.